being passionate about something that doesn't mean you're good at something. I was running a shop for about 11 years, right? Even though I wasn't getting paid for it, I was running it. That was the learning for me to go open up my own shop. Many barbers and many people are leaving people prematurely, leaving businesses prematurely just because they have an idea or a passion. They're like, you know what? I woke up and I got this idea, like, I feel like I probably can make the best cakes. And it's like, have you ever made a cake before? No, but I just really believe I eat a lot of cake. Okay, so what they're telling me is you're a critic. That doesn't mean you can make and bake cakes. I have this idea of whatever you do properly. And that's why now, even though I cut people like AJ, I cut Reggie, I cut Stormzy, I've got a client list, right, where it works. And I don't really want anything more.
Guys, if you're listening on audio, you might have clocked the voice.
Oh, you're recording already.
If you're watching, you've definitely clocked the radiant smile that lights up a room. You already know we got Mark, aka SliderCuts, in the building. Welcome, bro. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me and recording me secretly. I was just talking to you guys.
Man said we have to get the secret game. We have to get the secret game. You get what I'm trying to say? Yeah. How you doing, bro? You good?
I'm good, thank you. I'm good.
Quick question, yeah. Do more people know you as SliderCuts today or Mark?
SliderCuts.
Yeah, it happens like that. Innit? That's what happens when you build a brand.
Yeah. That's why I'm working on the brand of Mark Maciver now.
No, it's big, which is important. It's important. Having a personal brand is important as well.
Yeah.
Because people buy people.
Exactly that. One thing we always ask people straight when you come on the show is, what is your bread and butter? For those that don't know, what is your bread and butter? What is it that you do for a living? How do you put food on the table?
My bread and butter is cutting hair. I cut hair. I was cutting hair this morning. I'll be cutting hair tomorrow. My bread and butter is cutting hair. That is what provides me with my living, my lifestyle, paying my bills and everything I do.
Yeah.
Talk on it a bit more, because there's more to it. Because you're obviously a mogul in this thing.
I just cut hair. Hello.
What do you mean there's more to it?
No, the bread and butter is the main thing you do. There's other things as well around it.
Yeah,
but,
so let's talk about that.
But the bread and butter is the core.
Okay, but there's man that cut hair in Peckham. They ain't where you're at.
I'm trying to say,
you're doing more than just cutting hair.
We got the bread, but you've told us about the bread and butter. Talk to us about the caviar on the side.
Like. Okay, we'll talk about the marmalade and the jam and all the other stuff. So I cut hair, but I own a barbershop, a studio as I call it, which I have about 11 barbers in there. Also, I'm an author. The book's right there. I've written a book called Shaping Up Culture. I can't actually say that makes me any money, because that in itself doesn't make me money, but what comes from it can kind of sometimes does make me money. So the book's a very cheap book. It's £5. I sell it very cheap. We don't have to talk about figures, but the reality, from £5, that's through a publishing company as well. How much do you think I make off every book that sells? Yeah. It's not up to £1. It's not up to 50p.
Yeah.
So even if I sell 1,000, 10,000 of them, it's not like it makes me that much money. But to be honest, the reason why I wrote that book wasn't to do with anything to do with money at all. It was actually just having a message, and I wanted people to read it. That's why I give out the book so much.
Yeah.
It's because I care more about that message, and I think that message will be helpful for anyone who reads it, right? So, but then from that, I've had things that have come where it's like, can you come and do this talk because of that book? And it's paid me more than I've ever made from all the sales of the book, So,
definitely.
I get work from that. I'm also do brand partnerships, so I do content creation, and through my Instagram I do content creation. And now, because of my following and my engagement and my influence, a couple brands partner with me on a retainer basis where I get paid monthly to do content for them. And as well as the odd piece of content for just a random company, which, they say, you know what, we like what you're doing and we want to really reach your audience. So, can you do this thing and, promote our, mics as example, right? So I do the odd thing like that. But my bread and butter, which would be the general kind of like consistent money, would be me cutting hair and retainers I've got with two brands.
What about the barbers? The barbers, do they work for free?
No,
because that's regular, right? Bro. They're renting the chair, right?
That is regular, but at this moment, I don't actually make any money from that.
Wow.
At this moment. I will do.
Yeah.
But it's because in the barbershop, what I've done is I've kind of like continuously reinvested into the barbershop. Yeah. So I've had this thing where it's like, I'm not going to be taking money from there until I've reached the potential, until the barbershop's reached the potential it should. So what it means by that is, as example, let's say when I first started, it was like I had 7 chairs in there.
Yeah.
No receptionist. I had a receptionist desk because I always planned to have a receptionist there. So, but no barbers bringing in any money. I'm having to pay the rent, the bills, you know, we're behind, right? Just like most businesses start off, right?
Yeah.
So then we started getting to a point where it's like, okay, cool. Now the barbers are building up customers, you know, and I'm making some money. It's kind of like, okay, cool. We're kind of breaking even. All right, great. Cool. We got about, I don't know, 3-4 barbers in there and we're breaking even right now. Great. Then I'm like, okay, now we're in front. We're making some money. So let's just make up figures. Let's just say, right, I'm making £2,000 a month. Then I was like, okay, what I need to do now is I want to get some other barbers in. But this person wants to cut hair, but they can't afford to not get paid. So I'm like, okay, cool. What do you need to live? They'll say, okay, I need to, every month I need 1,500 or £2,000. I'm like, okay, cool. Well, that £2,000 we're making in profit, I'm going to give to this person. So now I'm paying this person for the next year and a half, right?
While they build up their
clientele, and then we switch over to a percentage system, right? But then when they start making money and bringing in money for business, then I did it for another barber.
Wow.
And then another barber. And then I was like, actually, we got some money coming. To be fair, at this time, we didn't really have money coming in. I'm lying. I didn't have money coming in. But I was like, it would be good to have a receptionist. So I had a receptionist. And to be honest, I was working to pay the receptionist. So what was happening over the years is, even though the business is doing well, and it's like, well, you got this, you've won this award, you know, you're in the newspaper for this, you know, it's great, you got this many barbers, everyone's booked up and so on. It's like, yes, the shop is doing well, but I'm not making any money because I'm continuously reinvesting the money that we're making into the business. Because for me, it's like, it doesn't make sense taking money out from it. But then it's like, well, we got space to add another 3 chairs. So why would I be taking that £3,000, £4,000, £5,000, £6,000 when I could actually just hire some people, pay their wages until they get good, right? And then we can take percentages from them. So now we're in a place where it's like, well, you've maxed out capacity. So now it's like, actually, maybe let's say in the beginning of next year, not that we're in September, September now. So let's say in like 4 or 5 months, I can actually now start receiving some money from it. But I'm like, well, no, because I've got a back room. And actually, I can knock out the wall between the front and the back room and add another 4, 5 chairs because we're still in a situation where we're turning away customers, even though we have 11 barbers.
Wow.
So I'm like, when people say, you know, well, go open up another barbershop, I'm like, no, because I've got another barbershop in the barbershop I'm in now. Because I can add another 4 or 5 chairs. So, and it's the same rent. It'll be a bit more in electricity, you know, same business rates. You know, I don't have to promote anything more, you know, and I know I've got the knack of training up barbers and so on, right? And I can do the same thing where it's like, okay, so I can take some of the profits and pay some people who might need it, right? Which I'm doing right now with a couple of people where it's like, okay, we're building you up, we're paying you wages. And when you eventually get up, which might be a year's time, might be 2 years' time, you'll start giving profits to the business. And in that time, at that time, I will start probably I should be receiving it. But that's the reason why I'm not making any money from the business. Just a brief, there's a lot more to it, but the brief version of it, just because I'm like, until I've maxed out the capacity and the potential of the business, there's no point in me taking out money because I'm cutting myself short. Instead of being like, well, actually now we filled it up, 15 chairs as example, 14 chairs, everyone's at 80% to plus capacity. There's nothing more we can actually do. Now I can be like, okay, well, if I'm making 1,000, 2,000, 10,000, 20,000, whatever it is a month, right? I can now take that money because there's nothing more I can do with this business.
You sound like a true businessman, and I think it's amazing to hear that you're passionate about what you do as well, because you speak about training barbers. It's actually really interesting, because 10 years ago, after I bought my first home in Sittingbourne, I said that there's going to be more black people moving here. So I actually wanted to learn hair and learn how to cut hair and open a barbershop. And it's very interesting because the reason that I didn't is that I thought about getting a small shop. I said, cool, I'm going to cut hair. Then I might get 2 barbers that pay me rent, and then I hit capacity and I can't scale in it, basically. And it sounds like all of the things that you do, and this is a typical example of you don't know what you don't know. You're a specialist in that field. You found a way to turn it on its head by having a big shop that can fit 11 chairs, which is kind of unheard of, that you can still expand on. You do a lot of social media around it to bring in the customers. You do celebrity haircuts, which we'll go on to in a second. But the one thing I wanted to ask you about, which is interesting, is that a lot of barbers do their barbers come experience with their own clientele and they rent a chair, right? By the sounds of it, you don't do that model.
No.
You do the model where I pay you a salary, you come in, cut hair, I'll train you up, and then we collect the revenue, and then at some point we might do a percentage split. Is that correct?
Yes. So I do either paying you a salary, and I only pay people a salary when they're in a situation where they need the help.
Okay.
So it's not a business model of mine to pay people wages. But it's when people, especially are adults, and it only happens with adults, to be honest, because children come in, most of the time you're living with your parents. You haven't got bills. You don't need money. So you can wait it out, right, and build yourself up. But it's the adults who come in and they want training. I'm like, well, you got children.
Yeah.
You got bills to
family
pay.
to feed.
And that's why I'm always like, well, what do you need every month? And then I have to ask myself, okay, can I afford to give you this much every month? If you don't make a single penny, will I be able to pay you this, let's say £2,000 a month, right? And then I'm like, okay, cool. But this is only for a period of time. But the business model is actually a percentage split.
Okay.
Whereas like the business takes a certain percent and you take a percent, you know? And even in the way I do the business model, I had a business analyst come into the business the other day who specializes in salons. And he looked at everything I was doing, right? And he just said, your percentages are like basically wrong. Why are you taking such a little percent? He goes, because he does all the different salons. He's like, he's like, for what you're doing, you should be taking a lot more. And I know this, right? But I've also had the thing where I want people to also build up their businesses. And not only their businesses, I basically see success as not only simply I have succeeded and I got all the things which I wanted out of life, you know. But for me, it's also about being able to facilitate other people getting the things which they want out of life. So they were able to go and buy the car which they want. They were able to go and have the wedding, you know, and get married and buy a house and so on, right? So for me, it's never been a thing of like even feeling comfortable, the idea of squeezing people. Because as much as, yes, I could take technically a higher percentage. And in the industry, people are. Although, actually, let me make this clear. In the industry we're in, people taking a higher percentage is more so the white demographic, right? And it's not a race thing of like, you know, white and black, but it just, so when people do say this to me, to be honest, it is what you're finding in more white English salons, right? They take a higher percentage. So when I'm speaking to these people, they're always like, why are you taking so low? Why are you taking so low? But also what they got to realize is where we're coming from a business model where most black barbershops just do a chair rental.
Yeah.
So even taking a percentage, even though it's changing a lot now with a lot of people, it still is something that is even slightly different to what we're used to culturally as well. So I think I got to put that in there so it doesn't just seem like, you know, well, you're just taking a little amount, right? But I am taking the smaller percentage.
But
yes.
Compared to,
you know, let's say the English white shops or European shops, right? But even where we're coming from, people would rather just pay a rent.
It's new to our culture, basically.
Yeah, it's even new to our culture. So even with what I'm doing, sometimes people may not realize that I'm pushing boundaries in the culture that I'm in.
Yes.
Even though it's normal to what you guys are doing already, right?
Yes.
So yeah, you know, so he said, you know, I should be taking higher. And I know, you know, technically I could, and I understand why I should be as well, to be honest. With all the work I put in, I realized I should be to some degree.
Yeah.
But my mindset has always been about, you know, the people. And it's funny because I even said to some of my staff earlier this year, I said, you know, where I said, you know, I focused on everybody. The whole business model has been about the people, but now I'm going to focus on the business because everybody's winning. I said everybody's making money. Everyone's got customers. No one can say they haven't, right? And I focus on the individuals.
Yeah.
But I said, but now my focus is going to be on the business and what is best for the business.
I love that.
I just want to take the time to big you up because there's obviously a passion in what you're doing. Like when you mentioned that you ask people like, how much does it take you to put food on the table? Yeah. And it's really interesting because if anyone knows me, they know that I'm a geek for Uber, right? And the reason why I'm a geek for Uber is that I love the idea of there's an app globally that can help someone put food on the table for their family. Mental for me. Yeah. So long as you got a license, you can earn.
Yeah.
And you're kind of doing the same thing in a similar way, whereby it's like, come in and we can train you to be a barber. If you've got a passion for cutting hair, I can train you to be a barber. And I'm willing to help out people in my community. And I'm willing to help you out and help you earn something for your family. So I think that's amazing and big you up.
Thank you.
The thing I wanted to mention as well, right? Something that's also in my experience as well. So there's a lot of people out there that are putting their brand out there. They're putting themselves out there, doing social media. And they're not really sure where they're going to overlap for brand partnerships, innit? So for example, I'll give a personal example. When Antoinette and I started Bricks with Tips, it's that property. We literally thought the only possible people we could collaborate with was mortgage brokers. Yeah. And you know, when you're in the game long enough, you start having more abstract ideas, like maybe an energy company or maybe a furniture. But at the beginning, it's very, very like in a nutshell. So a lot of people may be listening to this and think that like, and I'm thinking a little bit as well, who does someone who runs a successful barbershop collaborate with on a brand partnership? So can you give us some insight into that and some of the brand partnerships that you've done?
Okay, so obviously there's the obvious one, products and, for hair and clipper companies, that's the obvious one. And when I was doing social media, probably like, I don't know, 8 years ago when I started anyway, in my head, that's as far as it went as well. I was just like, I'm going to, hopefully maybe one day some clipper companies might give me clippers for free because I use it anyway. And, I wasn't thinking about money. I was just like, that's what I thought as well. But then over time, some of the people I've collaborated with have been banks.
Oh, amazing.
Because of the business talks I put out there.
Amazing.
So even though I'm talking about barbering, it's still business talks.
Yeah.
And also what I would say is this is strategic in a sense. All of my talks that I do, all my little things I put out there, they are all of the niche of barbering. But I do make sure that the information I put out is relevant for a wider audience, even though I niche it to barbering. And the reason why I niche it to barbering is because I think it's important to have your niche and to have something clear that you're talking about. But in most of my posts, I will always have someone saying, oh, it's not only barbers that can do this. Let's say example that. So 2 days ago, I put up a post about the best side hustle for a barber is properties, right? Someone said, it's not only barbers, that can do that side hustle. It's not only barbers. I'm like, I know that. I agree with you. But I'm just niching down to barbers, even though I know a personal trainer could do this. Anyone who's self-employed, right, in a sense, even if you're full-time employed, right, property is the best business as a side hustle for anyone if you're doing something that takes up a lot of your time and energy, because properties don't take up that much time and energy, so it can coincide with anything you're doing, right? I know that. And the way the talk has been delivered is so that anybody else can take it on, even though I'm using the terms of barbers and barbershops and cutting hair and appointments and so on, right? So what you find is these are business talks. So a bank says, oh, it's interesting. People are listening to what you got to say. Can we collaborate with you? Can you promote our bank? And, we got this new service, or, oh, we're giving out loans to this and that, or we're doing a competition where, a young entrepreneur can win this or win that, can you promote it? So you just find that, a lot of people that are interested in business, because I do so much business talks, are coming alongside, say, can we collaborate? There's also like some random ones. They're not random, but they are random. Like I remember doing a talk in KFC. Which might seem random because it's like, well, what's barbering got to do with KFC? But it's because all those talks that I'm doing, they appeal, not even appeal, they connect to such a bigger audience than just barbers. Even though if you only hear me saying barber and barbershop and using barber analogies as example, but they connect so much. So when I'm in KFC, it's because they're just like, well, we feel like he's got some wisdom on certain matters, so we should get him in to talk about this. So so the collaborations have been, like I said, there's been food companies like that, KFC, there's been banks.
Who have you said no to?
Who have I said no to? I can't actually remember. And I wouldn't say, whoever I said no to, I wouldn't say the name of who I said no to, right? But I've said no to things.
Maybe a reason why you said no. Is it because it's a competitor, or it doesn't align with your values, or?
So the reasons I've said no in the past, one, because as example, I'm making a product right now. So people have come to me, loads of people have come to me saying, to promote their products, and I've said no because I'm making like a shampoo, a wave cream. So there's no point because I'm going to be going into that field very soon. Or I'm in that field right now. It's just, it's building. So I've said no to loads of people. So that's probably the biggest thing I've said no to. And that's like regular that people ask for that. Other things I've said no to have been things that don't align with my beliefs. So if anything doesn't align with my beliefs, being a Christian, I'm up front, I'm a Christian, I got Christian views, Christian beliefs. So anything that doesn't really align with that, I'll just be like, well, okay, no.
Yeah. That makes sense. I think that's enough for people to like consider the things to get what you're thinking.
I wanted to get, because obviously for me, I feel like you have professionalized barbering, or you've been one of the. I feel like back in the day, barbering wasn't considered a respectful job. No. Even my barber that I had when I was a kid, he always talked about, one day I'm gonna do this or do, like, you could feel like he didn't feel like it was a respectful career. You have, I know there'll probably be others, but I know you. Like, you have made it a professional career that people can be proud of, to say, right, I'm a barber. Can you see my skill? Can you see what I do? just like hairdressers have always been respected because from way back.
Yeah.
But now barbering, like especially with what's being done and how people are doing it, and you're bringing people's hairlines back. People are bored going in, they're coming out with full fades. Do you know what I mean? It's really elevated. Can you talk about what brought you into barbering, and then what then gave you that I'm going to make this a profession that people will take serious?
Okay, yeah. So a few things I'd say. So the first thing that brought me into barbering was poverty. So we were getting haircuts at home because we couldn't afford to go to the barber shop. And the haircuts weren't great, and at the time I remember being in secondary school and we're still getting home haircuts. And I went to a school where now I'm in a school where there's fades, there's lines, there's waves, there's just everything going on. And I'm just like, I need a good haircut, and my mum isn't cutting it. My older brothers, they're just giving me like these kind of like number 2 or number 3 all around, no shape up, nothing right. And I'm just like, I just want a good haircut. So I picked up the clippers myself. So that's what made me pick up the clippers initially. But also prior to this, I was about 13, 14 at the time. Prior to this, around 7 years old, I remember I used to always look at people's haircuts and I'm not sure why. And I used to have this dream when I was like, when I get older and I go to a barbershop, I'm going to have this haircut. Like I used to have these like dreams of like being able to get a proper haircut one day. So I was always interested in it. Then when I got the opportunity, which was, okay, well, I'm still not going to the barbershop, I'm going to try it myself. Messed myself up. Had to cut all my hair off. Got suspended from classes because my hair was too low until my hair grew back to a certain level. But we still have no money. So next haircut, I'm trying again. Messed myself up again. We still have no money. So progressively over time, though, I started slowly getting better. Right, and then suddenly it's like, oh, I'm cutting my little cousin now who lives with me, and my little brother every now and then that guy lives on my road, and then it just started growing, and it was just a hobby. I was enjoying doing it. So when I was 18, I got a job in the shop D&L's, which it still is in Holloway, right? And I started working there. What you could say that made me professionalize it was that I always saw myself as a business. So it wasn't something I had to kind of like sit there and make myself feel that way. I just always saw myself as a business. I was like, I'm self-employed. That's why even from like, I started working in D&L's full time, I think, when I was 19, when I finished college at 19, right? And I remember when I finished college, I went and registered to pay taxes. And everybody, I got so slated. It was unbelievable. You'd think I was stealing from people. The abuse which I got. I remember the time just like...
You're paying taxes?
and it kept going around. Because imagine I was telling someone, I'm just telling one of the barbs, so I'm registering to pay taxes. And like, we doing that for? I'm like, because
it's a business.
You're supposed to pay taxes, right? But they don't know. So what are you telling them for, right? And then people got so annoyed that people were telling other people. So then people come into the shop talking about, you're registered to pay taxes. Like, what's wrong with you? Like, it was just like, there was a period of time where it was just like, okay, guys, I'm not telling any of you guys to pay taxes. I'm just paying my taxes. But they're like, but why? I'm like, because I'm a business,
Yeah.
That's so funny because in our community, bro, there'll be a guy that comes into the shop. You can tell he knows, and he's itching to bring it up. Mark, I heard you're paying taxes.
I was like, well, what is there? Is there a newsletter going around? So I just saw myself as a business. So I did that. And then I think the thing that happened, which was the turning point, I can't say it's a turning point. That's a lie. It's not the turning point. Because sometimes people say it's a turning point. It wasn't a turning point. Because I was always going in that same direction anyway. So it wasn't a turning point. It's the thing that elevated and speeded up things, you could say, was in 2010. So now I was working there from about 18. I'm now about 23, 24, something along those lines, right? I decided to get myself a website. And the reason why I decided to get a website was because I just said, I'm a business. Businesses have websites. There was nothing more to it.
Bro.
My first website was one page. It said SliderCuts.
Wow.
And the reason why it said SliderCuts, because my nickname was Slider from when I was a kid. When I was MCing, when I was like 14, I was an MC.
You had flow, yeah?
Yeah. I thought I had bars anyway. So I was an MC. My name was Slider. People still call me Slider. So I was like, okay, when I had business cards before, I said Slider the barber. So I was like, I'll just continue with Slider because everyone refers to me as Slider anyway.
Yeah.
So my wife and my older brother, she was my girlfriend at the time, my wife and older brother were like, Slider, what should we call it? I was like, should I do SliderTheBarber.com, SliderBarber.com, BarberSlider.com, think of different names. And my wife and my brother simultaneously, literally at the same time, both said Slider. Like, no, there must be something better. They're like, Slider, Slider, and they both said cuts, right? But they were in the next room, right? And they both came and said, look, listen, we think SliderCuts is better. I said, cool, long and short of it. Went with it, my nickname, Cuts, SliderCuts hair, makes sense. Set up the website. Website said SliderCuts, had the address of where I was, and it had my phone number. No pictures, nothing. Do you know how much business I got from that website? That had nothing on it. Because no one else had a website. I was like one of the first barbers to have a website. In the UK, except for the big barbershops like the chain, chain ones like Vida Sassoon, Tony and Guy. Like outside of them, no barbers had a website, and I didn't even notice at the time, right? So when I finally got my next website, which had my pictures on it,
it's over.
It was just flooding, and it's like every time new customers were coming in from overseas, outside London, like, how did you find me? They all said exactly the same thing, and some of those customers still cut with me now. They said, yeah, they just searched Black London Barber. I was the only person that came up.
Crazy.
There was no competition. I wasn't the best barber. There were so many barbers better than me, but I had the contact, I had some images, I'm the only person that came up.
That's crazy.
So that means I trumped all the competition because
there was no competition online.
And it's so deep because while others are worried about paying taxes and getting that cash in hand and keeping it quiet, you are focusing on how do I professionalize myself?
Yeah.
What do other people that our businesses do that I can emulate? And that saying, success leaves clues.
Yeah.
It's like, actually, what are successful people doing and what can I do from my position that I'm in?
Yeah.
So you might not have had a big budget, you might not have had loads of money to go and do ads on TV and so forth, but you're like, I can have a website. I can do.
Yeah.
Like, even as basic as it is, that one thing I can do. And that one little thing made a big difference. And that's what we always tell our listeners, people that watch the pod, is that sometimes it's that small step that you can take. Forget all the things you can't do. Forget all the connections you don't have and all that. What is the one thing that you can do that can propel you forward, and then keep going like that and keep building?
Absolutely. And I think it's a mindset thing as well, because in your mind, it's like, my business is going to get big enough that I'm going to have to pay taxes anyway. And you've got that in your mind. Guys, you should always pay taxes. But but the people that are saying that, you know what, no one's going to know what I'm doing here. Yeah. It's almost like in their mind, they've put a blocker because you can't even get bigger now. Yeah. Does that make sense?
You're living under the radar.
You're living under the radar. You have to be under, like, you can't do anything. You can't even have a website, really.
You can buy a chain. You're going to have to put a car in someone else's name.
And all that kind of stuff. You got what I'm trying to
buy a house in someone else's name. It means that now you're living under the radar. And I'm like to people, you're not even doing anything illegal, right? But you're living like you're
a criminal.
You're a criminal, right? And you're just trapped under this. You don't even realize that you can't excel because you have to live under the radar because you're not paying taxes. And to be honest, my reason for paying taxes wasn't even like I had this vision of I knew what was going to happen. It was simple. I was just kind of like, the rules are you have to pay taxes. I'm working, so I'm just going to pay my taxes. There were benefits that came from it because a few years later, moving on, like I'm 26 and I'm buying my first property, right? And I've got a few people around me who are now talking about they've made money, they've saved up all this money and they want to buy places and they've gone to get a mortgage and like, oh, well, you don't earn anything. And they can't. And then people, literally, I remember this moment now, when I was buying that first property, people start saying to me, a lot of these people who were saying, oh, Slider, why are you paying taxes? Started saying, do you know what? You had your head screwed on from early. You understood. And the reality is, no, I didn't. I was just paying taxes because it's the thing I was supposed to do.
Yeah.
This is a benefit from paying taxes, that when I went to go buy a house, even though there's people who had more money than me, were making more money than me through what they were doing and so on, they couldn't buy a house, right? And I remember one of my friends who said, yeah, he wasn't able to buy it. He has to wait a few years now. And someone else I know, just different people, right? And it's just like, yeah, because you don't earn no money, so why would they give you a house to say, the records are saying that you earn, you're registered as self-employed, but you said you've earned 11,000 this year, so you pay taxes on £1,000, right? So, but you're saying you want to buy a property that costs £300,000. You can't afford it.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, yeah, but I got £60,000 saved, I got £100,000 paid, and you're thinking, oh yeah, but I am making this much money. Yeah, but the records show you can't afford it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you got or what you're actually making. What do the records show?
Yeah.
So then people start saying, oh, you know what? You've had your head screwed on. We see what you're doing. And it's like, well, this was a benefit, but I can't take credit to say I was doing it because of this, but it did work out that way.
Yeah. And with the self-employed thing and buying the property, sometimes you have to get super intentional because even the people that are paying taxes, right?
Yeah.
a lot of businesses, the way that they operate is that they front load their expenses,
Yeah.
which creates the same situation. It's like, all right, cool, you made 150k revenue,
Yeah.
but you had 140k in expenses,
Yeah,
so you
yeah.
made 10k, so you can't buy a 300k house. So even for people that run a business like that, when you're self-employed, you just have to be super intentional. Like for some people, it's what I just mentioned is not illegal, by the way. It's
It's legal. Yeah,
it's
yeah.
legal.
It's your expenses.
It's your expenses. So people that are buying a home that are self-employed, sometimes you have to be super intentional and just know that for the next 2 years, I'm bringing these expenses right down,
You're gonna pay more
and I've
in
got to
taxes.
pay more in taxes,
I've done that.
basically.
I've done that
Yeah.
where I've just been like, okay, well, I'm not going to claim every single thing that that I've had to spend on this business because I need to make a certain amount because I'm trying to buy somewhere.
Yeah.
Even to the point where like recently, in recent years, I bought a place, right? And our affordability worked out, but it was on the borderline. And I just thought, if something happens, because people don't realize things happen all the time. It's affordable right now, but it's on the edge. So if something happens, I'm just like, we're gonna lose this place, right?
It's just expenses, isn't it?
It was basically what it is I own a percentage of my wife's business, right? So when we were doing it, I was like, okay, well, do you know what? Your business is gonna pay me this year, right? You know, can I take dividends out, so on and so on, right? But it put me way over that threshold. But it meant that I also had to go and pay now taxes on that amount.
Yeah.
Right. So because I'll talk real figures. So her business paid me £30,000. Now in taxes, I end up paying about £14,000.
Wow.
On that £30,000, right?
Yeah.
And we didn't actually even need it in the end.
Yeah.
But I had to ask myself the question of what was more important.
Yeah.
If I lost out because something happened and it shifted a little bit and they said, actually, ooh, you're a little bit under the threshold of what you want to get, would I look back and be happy that I didn't spend an extra £14,000 in taxes?
Yeah.
So because I just like, you know what? Once you hand in your taxes, they're handed in. You can't come back and say that because the mortgage company says, yo, actually, you're just a little bit under by £2,000. You can't say, oh, no, let me go back. Let me take off the trainers which I bought and let me take off my petrol. It's done.
It's done,
Right?
yeah.
So my thing was just kind of like, I don't even want to be close to it. Let's just be clear. So cool, I can take out the money from the business there. Cool, you're going to pay me. But now I had to pay taxes on that, you know, and I didn't even need it in the end, right?
But you've done it.
Yeah.
You know what
But
I mean?
I don't regret it. Obviously, you look back and say, in hindsight, cool, I didn't need to do that. You know, so if I could go back, would I do that again? Yes, because I can't see the future.
You don't know what's going to happen.
Straight,
Exactly.
straight, it makes sense. You've got strategy in it. It's clear in it. Like you just need a strategy. You need to be prudent and look at all angles. You spoke about property quite a lot since we've been speaking.
Yeah,
Why-
these two property guys are gonna have their little property chat, guys. Just,
I'm not
just
fucking
to
mogul.
get
You
you
guys are
know,
pro-
like
you guys are
when
property
two property
guys
guys,
too.
when two
You guys
property
are
guys
property
get
guy.
together, they get really excited.
You
So
guys are property guy too.
for the next 5 minutes, these guys are gonna. So
guys-
just to prepare you at home.
Yeah. So why is property important to you?
The reason why property is important is because it's an asset that stays.
Yeah.
It's actually something that can be passed on. Property is more important than business. Although property is a business for me,
Yeah.
but it's more important than the businesses you run. I tell people all the time, my shop can close down. It might close down. You know, the idea when people say to me, you know, but you got a business you can pass on to your children. Well, first of all, the business might not be there by the time it's there to pass on to my children. 2, my children could run it into the ground because they have no interest in it or they're just not good with business like that or understand how to run a barbershop, right? So this whole thing of like, you know, legacy and generations and stuff like that, if that's what you're looking for, then you need to look at the thing that's more stable. Properties are more stable because ultimately the research, the market's already there for you, you know, in the sense of people need to live somewhere, right? There's already a problem. Properties are the solution. You don't have to do anything else. With businesses, you got to find problems, find solutions, you know, market it, and do all these type of things there, right? And it's a continuous, like, so even
Yeah.
like SliderCuts is hot right now. Yes, it is. It's a really good barbershop. It's renowned. It's well known, but that doesn't mean that it's going to be here in 5 years, you know. But the flat that I bought will be here in 5 years unless something happens that the building just crumbles for whatever reason or I sell it. But in 5 years, it'll still be here and people will still need somewhere to live. Now, extreme things can happen where an area can really, you know, take a dive because extreme things where, I don't know, major crimes or major things are happening in the area and it's just kind of like nobody wants to live there no more, which is few and far between. But generally, the property would just be there. So for me, properties are actually more stable and I think they're more essential if you actually want to build up. And I don't want to use this term, right, because it's not even something I everyone's generational
I knew you
wealth.
was gonna say it.
I don't even want to use this term, right? I really don't use that term because it's not a thing I talk about. Generational wealth, right? I'm not really.
What's your problem with it?
There's
I don't know it's been used. Everyone
have
just
you
says
seen
it
that
now.
TikTok video saying, I don't even know them, man. My kids.
I've seen that, yeah. Like
He
that,
said, I don't even know them.
yeah, he was rude about it. He was
He was going mad.
He was
But-
going mad. It's like,
Bro, I watched it like 4 times. I was busting up.
He was going mad, but generational wealth is
It's important, definitely.
And not only is it important, it's a standard. There are people who are wealthy now that live off a trust of property in the West End. So all these properties that we see, Selfridges, all these properties, there's a family that own that, and that is their business. They hire people to manage their properties.
No, it's a good thing.
And literally, that's your family business.
It's a good thing.
And it's been over 100 years
It's a good
that
thing.
these guys have been owning this thing.
I'm not against
so
it.
generational wealth is a real thing.
It's a
He's
term.
saying a buzzword. He's saying it's a buzzword.
It's a term. It's like it's just all over Instagram, but everyone just keeps talking about generational wealth.
But it's the same thing with side hustle, and side hustle is important. And do you get what I'm trying to say? So
Yeah, I know. I have an issue with these kind of buzz terms when they become so popular and everyone just says it, with no understanding of what it actually
But
is.
you're doing it.
I'm doing it, yeah. And this is what I'm trying
Think
to
about
teach
your
people.
kids. Like your kids are gonna mad benefit not only of that, but the fact that how you talk about business.
Yeah.
Because you make business for them. It's coming from someone that they believe in.
Yeah.
Do you understand? Like that's the thing I say about being a parent. Like for my kids, when I talk about money and finance, it makes sense to them because they see me do it and they know I'm a normal guy. I'm not someone on television. I'm not someone far away. It's me that still have to clean the toilet when you mess it up. It's me that has to get you food. It's me. So it's one of those things where it's so important because you're not only doing it, but you're doing it in a way that they can relate to you. And how you talk about business means that for business, it's going to be normal to them.
Yeah. Definitely. No, definitely. I am doing it. It's just a term. I just all over social media. And people don't still understand it. Because even I got into this kind of not argument, but someone posted a clip. I was on a podcast before and someone posted this clip. I was just talking about the fact that everybody is trying to be self-employed now and be their own bosses. And I'm just like, you don't need to be your own bosses to be successful, first of all. And working for someone is not slavery.
it's not.
But everyone just made it this thing of you're almost like you should be ashamed if you're working for someone and you should be ashamed if you've got a boss, right? And it's like, majority of the world work for someone, first of all, right?
Facts.
And we all can't be our own bosses, right? Because nothing would happen, right? There's nothing wrong with it. And people are just saying, it's easy for you to say because, you run your business and this and that and blah, 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 and you can't talk and this and that. And I'm just trying to say to people, it's cool to work for someone. And I said, also, I know people who have a lot more money than me who work for someone. Yeah. I put all this effort in and all this stress and all this time I have to put in. And I got a friend who works for someone else and he shuts off his laptop at a certain time, right? And he gets to work from home part of the week as well. And he makes more money than me, right? And he hasn't got half the stresses which I've got. And it's kind of and people are like, but he works for someone. So what?
Yeah, but I think also it depends on what's important to you, right? Because again, if what you value, right? So especially for us as a black community, when we work in these places, a lot of the time, especially in London or in the UK, you're working in places where you're a minority and there's certain discriminations, there's certain microaggressions. When it's your business and you're in charge of it, you're not going to experience that as much as someone who has to go to work every day and experience that and then thinks it's just that company, and then you get a new job at another company and realize it's not just that company. This is a certain attitude around everywhere. And I think for some people, it's just that forget money. It's just the value of yourself, feeling like, actually, I'm doing this. I've got a freedom to be myself in those environments. Yeah. As opposed to having to go to an environment where you feel like, I can't talk the way I talk. I can't be loud. I remember when I can't laugh. The way I laugh, if you know how loud I laugh.
You got the Michael Richards laugh.
You understand? If I laugh the way I laugh, bro, these men are going to be shook.
Yeah.
They're going to be running like fire alarm is going off. These men are going to assemble outside.
Yeah.
If I wave my hands too much, if I challenge someone in a meeting, all of a sudden as a black male, I'm aggressive and, they're nervous. Bro, I used to wear suit, tie. People would still cross the road. Nervous.
I know, but I'm saying, with all of that said, does that mean that that means everybody black should now be their own bosses?
No.
And that's all I was trying to say. Because I said everyone's striving for this right now because they feel like it's the thing you have to do. And I'm just like, you don't have to do. And no one should be feeling guilty because you work for someone.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say. And I'm saying, look, people talking about money and talking about, because everyone was saying that if you work for yourself, the ceiling, this is what it was.
Yeah.
What I was talking about, because they said, you have no ceiling. He has a ceiling.
Oh.
But what does it matter, right? if I have that, I potentially could make millions and billions. Doesn't matter. He's still making more money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you could talk about this scene, and that's what I'm trying to say. There's people which are working for someone, working for the man, who are making more money than a lot of businesses in this country, right? So I was just trying to say to them, this whole thing of like people feeling guilty for working for someone. You can work for someone, and people looking down on other people saying, "Yeah, but you work for someone." It all started off with like the whole Dame Dash interview. This is where it all really started off.
Dame is always, Dame is always talking that talk.
That's where it all really started off from. So people are like, but you work for someone, innit?
Boss.
It's like, and that's the dog you term. That's like a diss, innit? But you work for someone. It's kind of like, ooh, you work for someone now. And I was just trying to dispel that. Say, look, there's nothing wrong with it.
No, there's definitely
There's nothing wrong with it.
And I think it's important to. I'm gonna push back on one of the comments you mentioned though.
Yeah,
but I think it's important to understand that entrepreneurship isn't for everybody as well, because it takes a certain, like you mentioned, you're doing like twice the hours of your friend that's working.
Yeah.
Like not everybody is cut out for that, and that's the truth of it. But I think that a lot of the conversations stem from the fact that there is a wage crisis in the UK. Your friend's making good money.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm trying to say? And quite often than not, and sorry, Iman, I'm going to go back to property a little bit. But if you want to buy property, we need to understand that the average salary in the UK is roughly about 30k.
Yeah.
And we're now running out of the amount of properties that's going to get you, basically. And which is why
In
this
London.
is important in London, very true.
London too.
So I want to go back to the comment I want to push back a little bit is that, look, being in property for some time, I actually think that business, I understand what you're saying completely, but I think business is just as important as property. Do you know why? Because you need the capital for property. But wages can take long, and it's not always immediately possible for everybody, basically.
No,
so I think that business is
not possible
important.
for you in business either, because even though you still had to wait the fact is, if you work for someone, if I go work a job right now and he hires me and he says he's going to pay me £100,000 a year, after 3 months I can buy a property.
Absolutely.
If I go run my own business, I have to wait 2 years.
But
and sometimes they ask for 3 years.
Some are 1 year as well. Some are 1 year as well.
But even then, getting $100,000 job, bro, come on, we're not even. That's not even.
Okay.
$100,000 job is less than 5%.
Okay,
Even 50 grand.
Okay, let's
even
say
50 grand
job
is like a low percentage.
You're in the top 20% of earners.
Let's say
50 grand.
You give me a job and you pay me £30,000 a year, right?
Yeah.
My thing is, if I go buy a property, if I want to buy a property in Doncaster, as example, right?
Yeah.
I only have to wait 3 months before I can go buy that property.
Yeah.
In business, I still have to wait 2 years, right? And in business as well, if you have one bad year, it resets. And these are the things which people need to understand.
Yeah.
It resets. Lockdown reset things for me. They're like, well, I've been working self-employed. I'm 39 now, since 19 years old, right? And because of lockdown, when I went to buy a property after lockdown, I then had to wait. Why? Because my last year, there's no figures.
Yeah.
Facts.
So everything resets. So even with business, there's all of these things which people don't understand, right? Where it's like, I'm not saying don't go into business.
Yeah.
I'm just saying understand that there are pros and cons to both of them. And my point is not that one is better than the other. It's to not look down on other people, regardless whether
Absolutely.
you're self-employed or you're not self-employed. If this person wants to get a set wage every week, every month, right, and he's happy or she's happy with that, and that's what suits them and their lifestyle, then that is good for them.
Absolutely.
Looking down on that person, that's what it was. It's because it came to a point, that's what my issue was. It's just like
Yeah,
people
we're
looking
looking
down
down.
on people that were working. And online, I kept saying people these comment of like, yeah, but you work for someone.
Yeah.
And it became a diss.
Bro, I tell people all the time, I jump in and out. Like, as much as I'm self-employed, I take contracts. The last 2 years, I've been contracted to Barclays.
You sell out.
Yeah. Bro, I got 4 good kids.
Four
Like,
kids
man,
is crazy.
Like, it's needed. Like,
It's
you know
needed,
what I mean?
yeah.
I'll take a contract
Yeah.
if I need that. And then but I'll still run my business. But
Yeah.
I'll have my contract and work the hours and so forth. I work with corporates all the time in regards to doing stuff and so forth. I think it's vital to know that there's not just one way. Because-
This is it. This is
do you
it.
understand? Especially like when I went to buy my property, like you said, even though I paid more tax, bruv, I just went and got a job.
Yeah.
I went and got a job.
There are people
and then
do that.
I went and got a job, gave the mortgage people what they wanted, fixed it for 5 years. After 4 months, left that job, and then I've carried on, and I've never missed a payment. I know when when the 5 year come, they're just renewed. I just stayed unless I go to a new company.
Yeah.
They just give me, and I'm with Halifax. The rates are good.
Yeah.
They're one of the best rates in the market, so it makes sense for me.
And
Just
you're
a note
using
on
sense.
that as well, because you dropped a gem there, but people need to clock it as well. So if your mortgage term extends with your existing lender and your financial
need no
circumstances have
evidence,
changed, they don't do any full underwriting
checks.
on you. They have something called a duty of care, which is where they can roll you onto a new product.
Yeah.
And they don't really need to look
any
at your
checks.
finances and stuff like that.
Your credit doesn't matter, nothing. They just continue.
Exactly. But what both of you are saying is something that people have heard me say all the time. And this is why I always say that sometimes we need to focus on joy and happiness, because sometimes there's someone who's striving to be self-employed and it's not for them.
Yeah.
And they're pulling out all their hair. And there's a couple that's on 18K each. They got their little dog apartment, one takeout a month, and they're happy. They're thrilled. Do you know what I'm trying to say? They're living a good life. But Iman and Mark, there's a statement I often make here about business and property, and I want to let you know, I want to see if you agree. So I often say, that if you are, let's say if you're not an extremely high earner, so football player, or let's just say over 100, 150K a year, and you're not a business owner, and you're not doing a startup, those three things, it's an absolute necessity to buy, not even an investment property, a home. Do you agree with that? And I'll give you my rationale why I say that. I feel that an extremely high earner, so long as they're putting the money away, they can do other stuff like investments. Sorry, and you're not investing as well. That was the last one as well. They can do things with their money. They ain't got to rush into anything. Business owners, even though they might be breaking even for the first 3 years, but with a business owner, it's got no ceiling. So maybe you want to put all your capital back into your business so it can
business
explode.
will be your pension.
Exactly, that's what I'm trying to say. Startups, similar. People don't know about startups, the amount of hours that they're putting into a startup, bro, I respect them highly because it's a lot of work, but they can exit for millions or billions, you know what I'm trying to say. But I'm saying everybody else that's on a salary, and it's nothing to do with people on a salary, but you need to beat inflation. Do you get what I'm trying to say? That's my vibe. So my vibe is that you need to buy a home. Do you agree with that?
I think it depends. Because also I think what we're missing is that some people have a very cushy life because of the country we live in and because of council and housing association.
Yeah.
So some people, it's like, because what people need to also understand as well, if you don't know this, is if you buy a home, you can't keep your housing association home or your council home, right? So that cheap rent that you're getting, you no longer get if you own a home, even if it's a buy-to-let. You cannot own a home. The whole purpose of that is to help people who cannot get onto the ladder.
Yeah.
So you may live this comfortable life you're living with a cheap rent of a few £100 a month, right? Yeah. And you might be living in a place, forget London, right? It's just, or even outskirts of London or outside of London, where it's kind of like, it's a lot easier to live, right? So the job you're working is kind of like, actually, for life, I'm actually very comfortable. And if I actually go buy a place now, things are actually going to become a lot more difficult because now my mortgage is a little bit more, right? I don't get some of these benefits I was getting before. So they might struggle for the rest of their life. So it might be actually harder for them. So that's why I think a lot of people are actually in this country.
Yeah,
as
because
to why
they can benefit from that.
Yeah, you know, because you can't. If you could keep your council place, go buy a place, then I'd be like, do it. But a lot of people are in that place where, and that's why this country has pros and cons, you know. And it doesn't matter about. I'm not going to go into what's the reasoning behind why they're doing these things there, because I don't know the reasoning behind it. I feel like they're maybe just helping people, but the flip side of helping people is sometimes you hold them down. Yeah. Because it's kind of like, actually, if I tried to go help myself now, it's going to cost me more.
Way more. Yeah.
I don't want to do that. I remember growing up having friends. I remember some girl was telling me where she had a child on benefits, and she's like, you know what, I want to get out there and work now. So she's looking at jobs, right? And when she looked at the job, she's like, oh, if I go and work, I'm only going to make about £50 extra a month than I get from all the benefits and everything like that. And I'm going to be working 3 days a week. So she's just like, well, there's no point of doing it. But she wanted to, but she's like, well, what's the point? Yeah. You know, so then you put people in that type of situation. So with what you're saying, is it essential? I don't know. I can't.
Because it's tricky, because I agree with everything you're saying, but let's say that person is considering that is a 30-year-old, and they have a child who grows up to be 18, and the 18-year-old goes out to get a job, right?
Yeah.
And they actually want to start a career for themselves. To a certain extent, they might be starting further back than what their parents were, if that kind of makes sense. It's kind of like we always want the next generation to do better. The other thing is as well is that I get what a lady's saying with the £50 more, basically. And you basically wouldn't go for a job like that, because people don't know that there's certain benefits that you can actually use towards your mortgage. So if your benefits was 18K and a job's paying you 18,500, then maybe you don't go for it, because do you get what I'm trying to say? Yeah. But that simply just means that you need to be going for a role that's paying you 30K. So it's like, I'm working now, but I'm making nearly double in it. So a lot of those like considerations. But I definitely hear your point, and it's definitely made some good points about sometimes it's like the help holds people down, right? It's like, I've been getting all of this for free. Why would I spend my hours doing it, basically?
And that's the other thing. It would benefit, obviously, and just to make it clear, it would benefit still your children if you did it. But the issue would be maybe you're going to have to go through a life of struggle, and you may not even be able to hold on to that asset in that life of struggle. So then it doesn't benefit your children in the end. So that's where the difficulty comes with it, where I say it's ideally, I think it is kind of essential that people should do it. But also I can see
where they wouldn't be able to.
Where it may
answer.
be difficult to.
Yeah, I think I agree with all that. I think in regards to what you're saying about property, I think the only challenge to property is government policy. And I think we're starting to see that already with what the government are doing. And we'll see what happens going forward. But I think that's the only issue with having all your eggs in the property basket. Is I've got a lot of clients who've been in property for long and have had it in their own name, and now it's not making them any money, and they're having to sell. And if governments then decide to do, everyone's buying limited company, the government can quickly just say it's the same with limited company, because at the end of the day, they're not building.
Yeah.
So because they're not building, the only way for them to get more properties in their hands is to make people sell it.
Yeah.
And so that's the only thing to property, and that's why it's all about having multiple eggs. Have property, have stocks, have pensions, have business, have loads of different other streams of income, so you're not only relying on one.
The only caveat to that, why I love property,
Of course,
is that property is their game too.
Yeah.
So there's always going to be a crevice where you can operate.
of course.
Do you get what I'm trying to say? They can't kill limited companies because
of course.
their thing is in limited companies.
Yeah.
Everybody with power, all of the, whether it's Tory or Labour, all of them have property portfolios in limited companies. So they can't absolutely kill it, basically.
They're not going to kill it, no.
There's
I think
always
it's
a room to operate.
No, I think properties are important. And I think if you do it right, my thing is just don't do it blindly.
Yeah.
Do it right and understand all the things that, if you're going to have a leasehold property, understand that lease comes to an end at some point. Understand how much it costs to renew your lease, understand your rights. You do legally have the right to renew your lease. You have first refusal, to renew your lease, but know these things there. So know that you might come to like 30 years, 20 years, whatever it is, and be like, all right, I have to pay £25,000 to renew this lease. So, and you might be like, well, I haven't got that money. And then there's people who have lost houses because it's like, I haven't got that money. Or I feel like properties is the best way, but I would say to anybody, if you're going into properties, it is still something to go and study. And what I mean by study, I'm not telling you go do a course. There are courses out there, they would be worthy of you doing a course. But I say there's so much free information just on YouTube channels. There are property experts who just put out stuff, right, explaining all these things to you, right? So as much as I am an advocate for properties, and I'm just saying people, it's straightforward, but it's everything of value takes work.
Yes.
So just don't expect anything that's high value and it could cost you nothing.
Yeah.
So this will cost you a bit of your time, but it is worth it, because ultimately I always tell people this: if you can get to the place where you own your properties outright, which God willing, in my lifetime that will happen, right? And you put them in the right places and the right names. Ultimately, you're giving someone, my child now, £500,000 or £1 million, right, in an asset, right? And ultimately, he or she, because I've got daughters as well, they do not need to sell this place, because ultimately what I'm doing for you is I've given you an income
Forever.
and I've given you a home. You do not need to sell it. Forget the £1 million, because people think that money is king, right? Or cash is king, right? And it can be, but at the same time, all you do with money is spend it. You have £100,000, and you got no income. You just keep spending it. Just keep going, and you end up at zero. But instead, if you have a property that's giving you £3,000 of rent every month, as example, you get to have that for life, and then your children get to have that £3,000. And obviously, as time goes on, it's 3,000, then it's 4,000, then it's 5,000, because the rental market's going to keep going up, right?
Yeah.
And then your children have this. So this £100,000 you could have sold. Let's say I'm just using simple figures. This £100,000 you could have sold your property for and just spent it. Instead, actually, when you look at it and say, actually, I lived my whole life on that £3,000. Then my child took it and he lived his life on £5,000. Then his child took it, and then she lived her life on £8,000, right? You don't realize that the asset and holding onto it is a lot better than actually just taking the cash and living your best life. Yeah. And that's why I think properties are so great, because it allows you to be able to do these things there, And even things like the fact that, if you rent out your property, I always tell people this as well, because I heard on a podcast the other day, right? And someone was saying that, but there's no beef, to make it very clear. But I just heard someone say, I've got a watch and I made more money from a watch. I don't know if you saw that clip.
Yeah, I saw that.
I
got a watch and I bought it £50,000. So I can't remember how much they bought it for, and it went up straight away. They might have made £20,000, whatever it is on the watch, right? And your property is cost you, let's say, £500,000, right? And in 5 years, it might only be worth £10,000 extra. And I heard that and I said, oh no, this person's got it wrong. They don't understand. First of all, the property didn't cost you £500,000. The value of the property is £500,000. You only put down 10% as example, let's say. You put down £50,000 onto the property, first of all. So you spent £50,000. People look at the value of a property and say, oh yeah, but that cost you £500,000. No, it didn't. I put down a deposit, and if I live in there, I'm paying it off over the next 25 years. If I rent it out, I put down the deposit, and they are paying it back over the next 25 years, right? So when it's kind of like how much have you made from this property actually in 5 years, even if the property value doesn't go up, just look how much of the property you own now from someone else living in there and paying your mortgage every month. So in 25 years, let's just say 25, let's make it like you're paying it over 20 years as an example. So let's use simple figures, right? So in 5 years, that's 25% they've paid off of your mortgage as example, right? I know it's different where they do the interest rate, but let's we're just trying to do simple figures, right? Let's just say example, let's say your house was £500,000. That means in 5 years, you've actually just earned £125,000, right? From someone else living in there. So when there's like, my watch goes up, I make this, it's like, you're not actually understanding. No, you put down a deposit, someone else lives in it and they pay it off for you. Yeah. So when the value of the property goes up, you earn money. Yeah. And every month that they pay off your pay, you earn more than property as well. You own more of the property. So I think properties are so vital because I feel like it's a way that people who are on quote unquote low incomes and from poverty backgrounds, right? And even a lot of working class backgrounds can actually make leverage and make ways in this world, right? That we're living in. And that's why I push property so much, because people are talking about, yeah, but properties are expensive. No, you're talking about London. So when you're thinking about, oh yeah, a flat costs £500,000 for a 2-bedroom flat, you're thinking about London. You can go outside of London. My cousin lives in Liverpool. He's telling me he's looking to buy a place, and he's telling me it's a 3-bedroom house with a garage and a garden, and it's £130,000.
That's a different world out there.
You can't get a garage here.
The accent's crazy.
Yeah, cool, but not.
Let's compromise. You have to compromise.
Man said the accent is crazy.
You have to compromise on the accent.
I'm not with him on that. Listen, he's on his own.
That went over my head. I didn't even hear
I didn't even laugh.
Crazy, bro.
I want it on document. I didn't even laugh.
I didn't hear what he said. I didn't even hear what he said. I was in a zone, right? So my thing is, if you can't do here, move out a little bit.
Yeah.
If you can't do on the outskirts of London, move out a little bit.
Yeah.
But just find somewhere, is my thing is important, especially if it's going to be a buy-to-let. Just find somewhere where people want to rent. Yeah. Don't just find somewhere in a farm. Yeah. Find somewhere where people want to rent, right? And I feel like you can build up things from there. And even if you aren't making loads of money because the property value hasn't gone up, just be happy that there's someone in there paying your mortgage off. Because at least if someone does that over the next 20 years, as example, you will own that property in 20 years. So if it's only worth £50,000, cool. It's £50,000 in 20 years. Yeah. It's £100,000. It's £200,000. Whatever it is, right? And someone else paid that off for you.
So true. Bro, I got a super, super important question for you. One that the people listening are going to want to get the answer from you from as well. What do you think about hair transplants?
I knew it was going to be something along these lines.
Bro, the people want to know, bro.
What do I think of them? I think there's nothing wrong with them. I just haven't seen anyone who's black have a great... There's one client I've got actually, and it's the best I've seen it.
Okay.
When it comes to someone black. And even then, it's the best I've seen it, but it's not like... I don't think they've got the facilities or the research done. The tech yet to do it properly. Because basically the issue is, when a lot of European people get it done, right, the reason why it looks good on them is because they have their hair long and their hair is looser anyway, right?
Yeah.
When black people have it, our hair is a lot more bunched together. So if you get a transplant, I can see here is still thin. Because they are not, there's like legal things where they can't, there's only so many grains or whatever it is they can put into it. Because with black people, I'm just like, I can see it and I'm like, you need a lot more. There needs to be a lot more of the implant things, right? A lot more, but there's only so many they can actually do, right? So it doesn't work out, especially that we're having our hair low and flat, so on. So if you were to grow your hair out, that's why even when black people do it and they've got afros, it looks a lot better, because it hides it a lot more, right? Where I say all the people I've seen, European people do it, white people, Turkish people do it, they never have their hair short when they do it afterwards. You see them, they grow their hair long, right? And you can't notice it, right? So I have no issue with transplant. It's just that I'm yet to see black people get it done like to the same level as, European people.
So you prefer the glue thing when these men are gluing the thing on their head and using extra hair from their thing and sticking it on, and then I just seen some YouTube videos. Is that your thing? You prefer that?
No, I don't mind. To be honest, none of these things are hurting anyone.
No. But I'm saying, do you think that's more realistic? It looks more.
Oh no,
real.
that looks better.
if
Yeah,
you-
100% look
yeah.
better.
If you
100%.
had like a Mr. Burns thing,
Yeah.
this whole thing is gone, and you had just this back bit, what would you do? Would you go get hair transplant, or would you get the sticky thing and you shape it up?
I just cut my hair off, to be honest.
You go
I
bald.
said bald.
I go bald.
Straight.
Do you know what? Look, I'm 39 years old, right? Listen, I've had a good life.
Yeah, bald at 39 ain't bad, man.
I know some
Yeah.
people that didn't make it to 23. And I'm
Facts.
talking about hair life. I'm talking about,
Yeah.
they went bald. I'm talking about, so I'm just like, look, I'm at the age where when we were kids, right, and we saw 30-year-olds with bald heads, we thought, oh, when you're 30, you go bald. We thought that was old, right? I've made it past 30, man. I'm 40 in about 2 months. My hair's not going to go in 2 months, 2-3 months. So, I'm good, man.
You're blessed.
I had a good life, I got married. I've got 3 kids. My wife is stuck with me. Hair or no hair. She done the vows.
Facts.
But maybe on a special occasion, I might just put a little glue on, to spice up the relationship.
Facts.
But yeah, no, I think because as well, with me, by character trait, I'm all about convenience. So I don't think I can be bothered to be doing the glue thing and have to do that, right? So I probably would prefer the idea of a transplant because it's done.
Yeah.
Right, then I'm actually having to constantly fix this thing every however long it is.
Stop that. Tyler, listen, I'm not with this brother today, He's on his own. Bruv. Anyway, the question I think the people really wanted to ask, because I think you are definitely a culprit in doing this. In music, they had death of auto-tune. You know what I mean? In haircuts, you had death of the £5 haircut. And you are one of the people that has caused the death of the £5 haircut. And we need to know.
It's not me.
Now, for me personally, I saw a video the other day where you're talking about £35. For you to be charging £35 is ridiculous because bruv, man them in the ends is charging £30. You're SliderCuts.
No, I charge more than that. That's a sketch.
That better be a sketch. Because I'm like, when I heard £35, I said, if he's charging £35, I need to go speak to my barber.
It's just a sketch. So the prices change in the sketches, and so yeah. No, I charge between 45 and 75.
Which makes sense.
Depending, with beard or not and time of days. With early morning haircuts, they cost more. But, generally throughout the days, it's like 45 to 50 pounds for haircuts. And to be honest, I can't say that I'm the reason why the prices have gone up, to be honest, because I'm in my tier of barbering of where people put me. I was probably the last person to up their prices. It's only recently I did. In recent years.
You made the social media thing, which then caused the other man to go social media, which then caused them to then start charging because they got all these celebrity clients.
But you know what's funny? There are barbers out there, right, which aren't as well known as me, who some would say, or many might say that I'm better than them, who charge more than me, right? And I'm not doing that, because they've got the following, they've got the audience, they've got the clientele, and they charge more than me. It's even charging, the prices you charge are so much more than actually just your following and your skill set. There's little things like, if you work in Chelsea, you can charge more. If I worked in Chelsea, I probably would charge like £100. Just because you can, the area. And obviously everything costs more, parking costs more, the rent would cost more, the business rates would cost more, everything would cost a lot more. So the reality is I'd have to charge more. But at the same time, you can charge more because the area you're in, you're near Louis Vuitton. How much is a key ring in Louis Vuitton? £200, £300, right? So what's a haircut?
Exactly.
120. People go into that area, they know what they're spending.
Yeah.
So if you went into Chelsea as example and you got a haircut for £30, if you're like, £30?
What's this? Haircut consultation?
What's that? You mean £30 to enter the shop? So yeah, there's different reasons why people can charge different prices, and probably people have said to me I could charge more, but don't worry guys, I'm not upping my prices right now.
But can people still like people listening now, if they said, right, you know what, I want to get a haircut by SliderCuts, can they still book you, or you're gonna refer them to one of your other guys in the shop?
Is it celebrities only for you, basically?
No, listen, how many celebrities do you even see in my chair?
Nah, bare.
You don't. You're thinking about old videos. Do you know that's what I find funny? If you look at my page, right, go for my page right now. Listen, we'll do it right now. Right now, right? People always say this, right? Oh, do you have to be a celebrity to get into your chair? And it's like, when do you see celebrities actually in my chair? Forget about the pin posts which you've seen, right? Look through my posts right now. I'm going through all of them. Okay, there's Dizzy Rascal.
Cool. Dizzy Rascal. I see Reggie Yates.
Ludacris.
No, you can't. No, you can't see Reggie. Okay, what's his name?
I see AJ.
No, not that you've seen these people. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But how often do you see these people?
Bro.
You just seen them, right?
Yeah.
But when you look at my page, most of my customers in my chair are just people you don't know. They're just regular customers. So when people are like, do you have to be a celebrity to get into your chair? It's like, but what about my social media gives this off? Majority of my look, they're just normal people.
Come on, social media ain't boosting those ones. The ones that we see that go around
the ones that
are the celebrities. Are the ones that we see. Like you can post, but that's not what everyone's seeing.
In the last 2 months, we've got Anthony Joshua, we've got Dizzy Rascal. Like even that's even a lot in the last like 45 days, by the way.
Yeah.
So that's a lot, bro.
45 days. And how many and I count all the other people.
No, but I'm looking at the videos as well, because bare the videos are of you. So if we removed all of the videos of you, AJ was like 5 videos ago.
No, he wasn't.
Come on. But you gotta think, like, I always think, because I remember you said like one time you cut LeBron, and I heard the story about that. And do you ever get nervous, fam? Because if like you're cutting AJ, man's about to box in Wembley or something, it's gonna be millions of people are gonna see this. If you get man's hairline wrong, bro, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel the pressure? Like LeBron, I don't know when you cut him, he was a bit younger, so maybe his hairline wasn't but I'll be nervous to cut this LeBron. Like, you are scraping at the...
Do you know what? If you're cutting this LeBron, you got to do one of those everything but nothing. You can't even touch it.
You do get nervous, right? And you just have to give yourself the talk. And I give myself the same talk every time, which is hair is hair. That's what I always tell myself. Hair is hair, regardless of whoever the person is in the chair. Hair is hair. Your hair doesn't change because you are worth $1 billion. Your hair's still there, because your hair is your hair right now. Yeah. But if you make £1 billion tomorrow, your hair doesn't change, So I always say to myself, just cut, And also I say to myself, they have come to you because they like what you do, and I haven't lied to anybody. I haven't lied or edited my pictures or anything like that. So just do what you do, and that's the kind of talk I give to myself. And I pray, I'm like, God, please, just let me just get through this, and then you just get through it, Sometimes things happen which is annoying. Like let's say I cut AJ a couple of days ago, right? And he doesn't know whether this is going to be his haircut for the fight or not. Yeah. I said to him, so this haircut, because I said, this is early. Like, you normally get your haircut like about 3 days before the fight. Yeah. You have to, as you see him online, he's doing all the press run right now. He's like, yeah. I said, are you getting another haircut then beforehand? He goes, I'm not sure. He goes, all right, just say this is the haircut for the fight, right? So then I'm like, okay, cool. So I give him a higher fade. I'm like, okay, cool. Let me make the fade higher so it can last longer, because this is like, we're talking about 6 days away, right? Yeah. Give it high, this and that, cut it, all good. He's happy with it. And I wasn't even nervous, right? But then I saw him in the video and I said, oh my goodness, he didn't brush the side down. One side I said, oh, he didn't brush the side down. I said, he curl kinged it, right? But then we need to, after the curl king, he needs to brush it down. I was looking at the video, I said, he hasn't brushed it down. And now it looks like there's a line there. It's like, no, you just need to brush it down, right? So it's not like nervous, because it's not like I know how the haircut looks, right? But it's also like sometimes the client might do something different. Yeah.
It's your art, innit? And it's out there, innit? So, yeah.
And other people, to be fair, people might not even notice it. It might be me as the barber is looking, saying, brother, man, I wish I was just there to, smoothing out that side. But it's all good. As I said, hair is hair, right? And you just got to tell yourself, do what you do, man.
So was a celebrity thing on purpose? Like, did you say yourself, like, I'm posting on socials, I want to get celebrities, and then, because right now that's the thing, right? That's what like corporates do. They look at getting influencers or people that people look up to make their brand be more acceptable, and that's why people have product placement in movies and all of that type of stuff, because people gravitate to where they think other people that they admire go to. Yeah. So if you cut AJ's hair, if I love AJ, I want to imagine me being able to cut my hair with the same person that cut AJ. Like, was that on purpose, or was that just you were on social media, people were finding you, and then it just grew over time?
No, it wasn't on purpose. It's the opposite, actually. I was trying not to cut celebrities.
Okay.
That was actually one of my goals. Like, I'm talking about just before I got married. So 15 years ago, I'm married. Well, my wedding anniversary was yesterday.
Wow, congratulations.
So that was 13 years. So just before I got my wife 15 years ago, I remember being at the time, I didn't want the celebrities. I remember being clear. I remember like not even wanting to do call-out haircuts. So even clients I used to do on a call-out, I kind of like slowly got rid of all of them, because I was like, one of my goals in life, I just want to live a family life. I want to be around with my wife. I want to be around with my children. This is actually my ambition in life, right? I was talking about it in the barbershop this morning, where I said, people think because of where I'm at and because of maybe my business, that I must have these massive ambitions. And it's like, no, I actually don't. I'm just very driven. But I haven't got big ambitions. I just do though. You know, I'm active, right? But the ambitions aren't there. So I wasn't trying to cut celebrities because I knew what it takes up. So I was like, yeah, you know, it takes up time. I remember this footballer asked me to cut his hair. He said to me, I'll give you a contract. You cut me twice a week. It was outside of London. You come up, blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, nah. And he's like, why not? You know, paying you the money, this and that. I was just like, 2 evenings out of my week. And I'm thinking of, I'm trying to get a girl. I'm trying to get married. I'm trying to, you know, I'm trying to do all these things. And I think maybe that was at the time when I literally had just got with my wife, I think. Either just before I got with her, or I was just getting with her, I was just with her, right? Yeah. And I was just thinking, so that's not the life which I want, you know, away, 2 evenings away and so on. So it wasn't, I didn't want it, not because there was an issue, just because I just knew that their schedules, you know, it just drives you here, there and everywhere. Like I remember, like, I'm trying to think, should I say this person's name? Because it's not actually bad. Let's say, so I remember, it's not actually bad actually. So I remember when I started cutting Tiny Temple, right? I don't cut him anymore right now, right? But when I was cutting him a few years ago, I remember when they first asked me to cut him, I remember I was speaking to my wife about it, and I was like, I don't think I want to do this, right? And she's like, why not? I said, because I just know it's just going to be hectic, right? You know, I just know it's going to be hectic. And my wife was like, no, you should do it. I think it sounds good. You should do it. You should do it. And I remember being like, I don't know. I just feel like, you know, started feeling the pressure. Like because I remember, especially he was hot as well, right? And I was like, I could see he's active, right? And she's like, no, you should do it, right? So then I started cutting his hair, right? And it was hectic. Like he was like, and when I mean hectic, I mean his schedule was hectic. I'm not even talking about him as a character. I mean, his schedule was hectic. It was kind of like show here, show there, come back, you're back for a few hours, gone again somewhere else. You know, in that few hours, you're getting a haircut. You know, you're getting a haircut here. Okay, can you cut me here? Can you cut me there? This and that. You're like, okay, there's another show. And it's just like, it was hectic. And I would speak all the time. I'd look at him and be like, I don't know how you're doing this, because this, from the outside, it looks like this is so glamorous, right? But I'm looking at the reality of this. This is tiring. Like, you know, doing 2 shows in one day when you've had to take and it's kind of like, jet life, right? But it's like, no, you're tired. You went and jumped on stage, right? You came off stage, right? You went straight to the airport. You jumped on the flight. Yes, it's a jet. You've gone to another country, got straight off, right? Had to go change straight away, go do another thing. You haven't slept. Then you've come back and then you've gone to studio, and you've been in the studio from like 11 o'clock till like 4 in the morning because you still got to make music right now. And then it's like, cool, I'm cutting your hair in the morning because you got to get up and go somewhere. So at 8 o'clock in the morning, I'm cutting your hair. So how long have you slept for, right? So when I'm saying it's hectic, I mean, no, his schedule is hectic, which then meant it was hectic for me. And then, and where his schedule keep changing, it's kind of like, okay, I'm on the way to cut you, so you can't do it no more because this has happened and blah, 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 blah. Okay, oh, someone's pulled out of a show. He's had to do an extra show. Cool, so I'm there waiting. It's kind of like, oh, so he's not coming, right? You know, no, he's not coming, right? Cool, he can't. Okay, but can we reschedule for the next day? It's like, oh, I'm fully booked the next day. I got to move all these people around, right? And this is the reason why I didn't want to do it in the first place, is because I just knew how hectic. That's why the other day I put up a post and I said, that post with Dizzy was actually saying, it was relevant to him. I said, you know, if you're going to cut celebrities, then you got to also understand that their schedules are quite hectic. So it's going to involve you moving a lot of stuff around, you know. So if you don't want to do that, avoid cutting celebrities, right? Because it just comes with it. It comes with it. So I didn't want to, because I just thought this is going to really mess with like my life and my family life, which I want, and when I have children and so on, right? So even when I was cutting Tiny that time, especially, it was just like, it was just hectic. And then my wife now complaining, right? And I'm like, I say to my wife, you told me. I told you this, right? You told me to do this, right? You know, and it's kind of like, oh yeah, but you're going there again. It's like, yeah, because you know, he's on show, he's on TV, he's doing this interview, he's doing that, you know. So yeah, so I didn't actually want to. So, and here to make it clear as well, I didn't want to, right? Because I knew how hectic it was, right? And I really was so focused on that family life, right? Yeah. But it doesn't mean that it wasn't beneficial for me. Yeah. It was still very beneficial for me. Yeah. You know, cutting Tiny was very beneficial for me. You know, and he was cool. You know, he let me film him. He let me do all this stuff. This was very beneficial for me, right? You know, so it's not like I didn't want to cut them because it was bad for me. It's just because of the time and all that stuff there. But it was very beneficial. Like cutting Andy Joshua, it's very beneficial to me. He's helped me out a lot in my business. Tiny Temple, he's helped me out a lot in my business, you know, and the various other people, you know. But I remember when I started cutting AJ, I remember, like, I always look back, right, and think to myself, like, I could not be cutting him. Because when we first started cutting him, I remember, like, just like not turning them away, but just being like, yeah, just doing things like, you know, just turning them like, nah, sir, I can't do it. You know, no, I can't do it. No, I can't do it. You know, I remember one time, right? I he was calling my phone, right? I remember I went downstairs, right? I was changing, to go home, and I seen him calling me. I was like, "Nah, not today." So I said, "Cool. What I'm gonna do is, this is my plan. What I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna change. I'm gonna get him. And when I'm like halfway home, I'm gonna call him back. Like, yo, what's going on, right? Because I thought I know he's calling me for a haircut now, right? And I'm just like, that was my plan. So I changed, went upstairs, got upstairs. He's sitting there in the chair. Every champion in the world sitting in there.
You gonna tell him I'm going home?
I didn't tell him that. I cut his hair. But I was like, to him, I said, I can't even lie. I'll be honest. AJ is so cool, right? It's unbelievable how cool he is, right? I said to him, I can't even lie to you. I saw your call. I just thought, I know you're asking for a haircut now. I thought, I'm not gonna call you till I'm on my way home, so I can be like, sorry, I left the shop already.
Donnie was already there.
Pulled up. You're here. Jump in the chair, innit? I'll cut your hair, right? But I just kind of, that's why it was. And that's why now, even though I cut people like AJ, I cut Reggie, I cut Stormzy, I've got a client list, right, Dizzy, where it works. And I don't really want anything more. I don't want any more. The odd one that comes in every now and then, when it's a one-off, cool, because it works. Because AJ gets his haircut every other week, right? And he's so cool, he's so flexible, he's so kind of like, let me know if you can do it. Let me know your timings, when you're available. And I'm like, let me know when you want it. He goes, well, I'll work around you. Like, he's so accommodating. He's so kind of like, okay, it might even be like, okay, I don't finish work till 8. So I'll do you at the end of the day. That might be like 9, 10 o'clock. He'd be like, cool. And he might be planning to go to sleep at 9 o'clock. So when I'm saying I'm going to cut him at 9, at 10, he would rather it at 7 o'clock, but he's kind of like, okay, cool, all right, if that's the time you can do, that's the time you can do, right? So he's so accommodating, and he'll be like, and he's so appreciative. He'll be like, I appreciate you coming out this late. I appreciate you really coming out, last minute, this and that. So even though in reality he would have preferred it earlier, he's still looking at me saying, but I know I've kept you out later, and I really appreciate it. And that's why right now it works, because like Stormzy gets his haircut maybe once a month or so, comes to the barber shop, cool, that works. Reggie will just be like, anytime you got it. So I'll be like, sometimes, okay, I'm booked up from 5. You want to do 4 o'clock? All right, cool. I'll see you at the shop at 4 o'clock, right? So it works right now with the clients I've got. That it works, and I don't want to mess this up. I don't need to bring anything more.
Can we talk about this book from 5 o'clock? Because I've been seeing on the socials enough. What is your schedule like? Why do you work so early? How do you find balance? Because obviously you got children, you got a wife, you got family, you got church. Like, how do you balance it all? And starting at such early hours, and because you still have to, although you stop work, you start the work as a parent, the work as a husband, and so forth. So talk to me about that.
Well, the balance, I actually have a lot more balance than people realize.
Okay.
So let's say this morning I was at shop at 5. No, actually my 5 o'clock cancelled, so I started at 5:30, right? Everyone's sleep.
5:30.
Yeah. Everybody's sleeping at that time in the morning.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm not infringing on any of my family's time, except for my wife wanted a cuddle. But she doesn't. She's sleeping. She's snoozing until the alarm goes off. She's gone. She doesn't even know that I'm gone, right? So that means it doesn't affect any of them at that time in the morning. So the reason why I work so early is because it means I now have time to do all the things I have to do with my family. So, as an example, when I finish here, right, I'm going home. I'm going to pick up my children from school, right? Monday, Tuesday, I don't work. I don't work. So on Monday, Tuesday, I have my daughter, 'cause I've got a 1.5-year-old. I have my daughter full time, me and my wife together. It's just the way we balanced our lives out when she's working. 'Cause I know it sounds like I got my daughter like I said, wait, are you guys not together? No, we're together. But Monday, Tuesday, my wife works, right? So I wake up from when they wake up, getting them ready, brush their teeth, get them clothed, blah, 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 take them to school.
Jog them to school?
I jog, I run to school.
Go to the same school as one of my friends, and she's like, yeah, he actually runs in with pushing the pram in. I was like, is it? Okay.
Oh I run. Yes, I run to school. My 2 children go to 2 different schools, so the round trip is altogether about 2.4 miles altogether. So I got the buggy, my daughter in the buggy, my boys will be on their bikes and drop one, then drop the other one, and sometimes most of the time I might just always stretch out the run to make it at least 3 miles, 3 to 5 miles, something along the line. So now I've got my exercise in and I've dropped the kids to school, right? So first of all, so that means that you're how do you exercise so much? I can squeeze it in. Then when I pick them up, same thing. So I might do that 3 miles in the morning. Like if I look at like my schedule this week, if you look at it, Monday, drop the kids to school, round trip 2.5 miles. Pick them up, round trip. No, I did 3 miles in the morning, round trip 2.5 miles. Pick them up. Great, all good, right? That's exercise. Then I play football when they were sleeping, right? And the night. Tuesday, drop them to school, round trip. Pick them up. Took them swimming as well. ran there as well, ran back as well, ran back as well. So like yesterday I've done like about 7 miles in distance. Monday I've done about 5 to 6 miles in distance, something along those lines, right? So I'm getting my exercise in, but I'm with them the whole time and they're getting exercise in as well. That's the thing as well. So they're getting exercise in as well. So we're together doing this, right? And I've taken you to swimming straight after school on Tuesday. So I'm with you the whole time, right? Wednesday is my working day off. So it means that Wednesday is the day which I don't directly work in the shop, but I use Wednesday as a day to do all the other work I need to do. So that's why we always try and push podcasts to Wednesday if we do it, which is today, or any interviews we do it on Wednesday. Whatever it is, we try and make Wednesday that day where it's like, if I'm making content, I need to write content, I need to edit content, I'll do that. So and sometimes I'll go into work, like today's 2 people getting married, 2 wedding haircuts in the morning. I've gone into work. I can do that on a Wednesday, right? And then my wife will take my children to school. But if I'm at home, I'll always take them to school. Yeah. If I'm doing any work at home, I'm doing editing or anything like that, I'll always take them to school, right? And I'll always pick them up. If I'm at home, I will always take my children to school, right? So then it's like, okay, cool, great. You're doing that, right? So I might do some work on Wednesday morning, cutting hair about 4 or 5 hours, right? Cool, go do some other work, pick them up. Thursday comes, I'm working, let's say 5 a.m., 4:30 a.m., right? And I work till, let's say like 6, 7 p.m., right? Cool, a very long day, right? Friday, might work same thing, 4 to, let's say 7, 8, maybe 8 p.m., right? Cool. Saturday, I'll work from 5 a.m. or 4, whatever it is, till 12. I'll go home. Now, I'm with my children. I'm with my family. Sunday, I'm with them. The odd call out happens every now and then where it kind of cuts in, like on Sunday when I went and cut AJ, that cut into it. But cool, I spend a lot of time with my family. Like I'm with them a lot more. And when I work these super long hours, it means that when you look at my schedule, I'm doing, between 38 to 46 hours a week, right? But I'm squeezing it all into, let's say, like Thursday and Friday, doing the super long days. Yeah. And then if I work on Saturday, because what's funny is on Saturday, it's a half day for me.
Yeah, that's a shot because most barbers, Saturdays when they make most of their money.
Yes, but what's funny is I work from 5 till 12 on a Saturday. So that is 7 hours. What's the working day? How long's the working day?
It's actually
7 hours.
8 hours, but it's 1 hour lunch, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
I have
7 hours.
I have no lunch.
Yeah.
So my half day is actually a full day.
So
because I'm starting earlier, and then I go home, and now I'm with my wife, I'm with my children.
You have no lunch because listen, that's one of the most frustrating things in life is that when you walk into the barber shop and he's just got his food, and now you've got to wait one hour for him to
started,
eat,
bro.
And then you're like, then you got to wait for the haircut, and then imagine someone's before you. Bro, man's been in the barber shop 3 hours.
Bro.
Yeah, but we have appointments. So I said on Saturday, I choose to have no lunch because I work from 5 to 12, then I'll finish. So I've done my whole day working, right? So if I work on Wednesday, I work from 5 to maybe 10. Sometimes I might do 11 o'clock, right? I finish. So even though it's like I'm always working and I'm doing all these hours, I have a lot of balance. The thing that is sacrificed is sleep. Yeah. I don't have a lot of sleep, right? Which is the thing which I'm my new goal in life to get, to have more sleep, right? Because even like yesterday, I'm out for my anniversary. We get back, I'm sleeping around 12, but I had to be up at like 3 o'clock, to go do my first appointment and so on, then come straight here. That's why I said to you at the beginning, I can't sit back like this. Too comfortable. My body will conk out, right? Yeah. And that's why I said the sacrifice is sleep. But my family, like my kids see me more than majority of kids see both their parents. Yeah. My kids don't, like I work a lot. My kids don't notice it. They don't feel it because I'm always there. And then whatever happens, if you have a parents' evening and it's on a Thursday when I'm working, I move my schedule around. I'll be at the parents' evening. You need to go to parties, I'll move my schedule around. I'll be there. Your first day of everything, I'm there. First day of school, I will drop you to school, even if it's on a normal day. I'll move my schedule around. I'll be there. So my kids don't see anything. Football, even like now, football's, training. Like Friday, my son's first football training, his new team he just joined, right? Or he was kind of like trialing for. I moved my schedule around from 5 to 6. I surprised them I was there, make sure I'm there with you. I'll work later instead, but you're going to see me there with you. So, the balance is there. It's the thing that's lacking is sleep, but my family don't feel it.
Amazing.
That's amazing, man. Put it on your shoulders.
The way we always end the pods is with your W and L. And that's like in life. It can be whatever. Your biggest win, biggest loss or learn, just to show people that there's balance in everything. Because obviously people see you outside and see the success, but they won't know the hardship that you've been through. So just give us a real big W to you. It could be anything. It doesn't have to be the number one, but whatever comes to your mind now, and then an L as well.
The biggest W I'd say was the flat that I bought in Dalston, which was like a 1-bedroom kind of rundown flat.
Look at the property guy's face. Look at his face. He knows. He knows that postcode. He knows that. He knows the rental income in that space.
Yeah, I bought it about 13 years ago.
Wow.
It was a 1-bedroom flat. It was at a time. The reason why I say such a W is because everyone was telling me not to buy there.
Wow.
And everyone's telling me that it was about, even like I remember some of my estate agent friends were all saying, nah, don't go there, this and that. They were like, and first of all, I was just like, well, first of all, this is all I can afford anyway. Yeah. So it's not like I have a choice to spend £1 million, but I'm choosing to spend because it cost me 160,000 a 1-bedroom flat. And then I remember when I moved there, people spitting down, stuff like that. It's, you have all these things, right? But it was the biggest win because that is what I call a seed. I don't have that property anymore, right? It's the only property I've ever sold, right? And I didn't want to sell it, but I was in a situation where I needed money. And I needed money when I was starting up the barbershop, and I needed cash, and everything was coming over my head. I was like, I need cash, so I had to sell it, right? But that seed there is what kind of like produced the multiple properties and the business which I have now.
Crazy.
Because from that property there, 2-3 years later, I took equity out and I bought a place in Tottenham. Then from that place, from Tottenham Place, I took some money out, which helped me to buy another place in Stoke Newington. And then from that same place, when I was doing the barbershop, I took money against my properties. I borrowed money against my properties to open up the barbershop. And then eventually, even when the debts became too high, I sold that flat to not even to get into the plus, to almost just, I wasn't even at zero. I was still down here, just getting closer to zero. I had to sell that property, right, to raise some money. So the reason why that's my biggest win, because that seed is what helped to birth all of this. It all came from that, so that's my biggest W. And then even like where I live now, it still stems from that, from the business, basically that is my biggest W, right? My biggest L would be, it just comes to my head. It always comes to my head. I remember losing £30,000 on some investment of something I was planning to do. I was trying to build a booking app. And I remember getting £30,000 into it and just realizing long and short of it that this wasn't going to work out. And all these other people that were doing the booking apps were doing it, were moving quicker, even though my ideas were ahead of theirs. Also, I realized something as well. The reason why it's my biggest loss, L, but it also is one of my, on the flip side, my biggest wins as well. It taught me something that has helped me in other areas of my life and in business, because I was like, I've got all these ideas. I want to do this. I want to do that. None of these booking apps do this. It should do this. I'm going to build my own one. Started building it, right? About a year, 2 years in, right? £30,000 in, right? I started realizing, these other companies are now starting to catch up. Some of the ideas I had 2 years ago, they're now starting to implement into their booking apps, and it looks like they're still going, right? And also made me realize one thing: I was arrogant. Even though I wasn't directly arrogant, but I was arrogant to believe that I could create something as a side hustle that people do as a full time, right? And think it'd be better than what they would do, which they put all their energy and time into. It's quite arrogant, right? Also, I realized that I was arrogant in the sense of believing that I had to create my own booking app. Partner with those who know best.
Yeah.
Partner with experts. Don't try and become the expert in an area where you're not an expert.
Yeah.
Right, so just partner with experts, right? Because at the time it was when everyone was talking about ownership as well, and owning 100% of this and 100% of that, make sure, and I was like, okay, if I'm going to make the SliderCuts brand something, then it should have its own booking app. But it's stupid because Mercedes probably don't even use their own booking app.
Facts.
When you go to booking something with Mercedes or whoever it is, right, they don't use their own booking apps, right? So it was warped mindset, right? And I lost £30,000 and I had to stop, and there was money I didn't even have as well. Like, it was like I used credit cards, things like that, to pay for these things, right? But it taught me a lesson that one, partnership is something you need to really do. And also let those who are experts be experts. And don't think that because you got some ideas. Because that's something as well. I thought that because I had some ideas, I was ahead of them. But what I didn't realize is they might have had these ideas already. But it takes time to implement all of these ideas into actually a booking system. So you can say, yeah, actually, you should have a thing where it has a laser beam. And you might be like, it's a great idea. But now code that. Code a laser beam coming out of your phone. So everyone has ideas, right? They say, yeah, it's a great idea. I had this idea from 1993. Trust me. Okay, code the idea. Bring a laser beam out of your phone. Because if they eventually do something where they have holograms, right, coming out of phones, people are going to be like, I had this idea a long time ago. Okay, code it.
Yeah, make it happen.
Make it happen. How do you?
How do you do it?
How do you do it now? So that's why, and it also taught me these things as well, where it's kind of like you think because you've got great ideas that actually maybe you should go do it yourself, but it's like making it happen is something different, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So I say it's my biggest loss, right? But it's not, because it taught me so much, right? And it's helped me in all the other things I was doing after that.
I got one more question, but Tyler, I know you must, if you got anything, just before we finish.
No, go for it, bro.
My last question, when did you know to leave? You're at the barber shop, you're SliderCuts, you're working in another barber shop, you obviously became successful there.
Yeah.
When did you know to leave? Because I think people at home, that's one of the biggest things, challenges, whether that is to leave work, whether that's to leave a partnership, whatever it is. When do you know it was the right time for you to say, I no longer should stay in the shop, I should have my own shop?
Well, for me, I feel like I probably left later than maybe I should have. And the reason why I left later than maybe I left later than I should have is because before I left, I never had any plans of leaving. Remember, I always told you that I haven't got these high ambitions. I remember meeting my wife and she was saying to me, you should have your own barbershop. I remember my brother-in-law saying, why don't you tell, you're managing this place. Why don't you have your own place? And all these customers used to say these things there. And I used to be like, no. And the reason why was because I never had this idea of like grandeur or like kind of like, oh yeah, I want to own this. I want to do this. I was like, everything I was doing for me, because I had this mentality of loyalty, was under that shop, under DNL's. I was like, everything I should do should be for them, right? Everything, I didn't have any plans. So moving forward, I'm doing stuff. Oh, you built your own website. Why? Just because of the business. So it might look like when you look at the trail, it's kind of like, no, you were always building something big, right? But that wasn't the plan. It's just because I have this idea of whatever you do properly. That's all it is. If you're going to do something, just do it properly. If you're in a relationship, be in it properly until you're not in it. Then leave, but be in it. So I'm a business. I have a website. Cool. Social media comes out. Everyone's doing date nights on their social media and feeding their dogs. I'm like, well, I have a business. Why don't I just promote my business? So I'm promoting my business. I don't know what's coming from it though, but I'm just doing it, right? I'm working. You're working long hours. Why? Because I am, right? So as all this is happening and this brand on the SliderCuts is building, even the name, people are like, cool name, this and that. When you hear the story, you heard it earlier, how it came. It wasn't kind of like I was sitting around the table and I was like, we need a good brand name. It was just my name. Slider was just my nickname, and we added cuts onto the end. It's that simple, right? So as much as when you look at it, it's kind of like you built something like big. I wasn't mentally trying to do that. But because of my work rate and because of my drive, and the way I see business, it was building that anyway. So I was in a position where I've got this brand now and I'm successful and I'm making money and I've got a flood load of customers and so on wanting to cut with me. And it's kind of like, you got this big thing. But I was still focused on everything I'm doing, right? I want to do for the shop. What made me leave actually was I came to a point when I was managing the shop and running the shop, I was trying to do so much stuff for the shop. So stuff I would do for my own shop. But just being real about it, no one was listening to me. And the reason why they weren't listening to me, because one, it's kind of like, what, now you're the guy telling us what to do kind of thing, even though like a lot of the guys that I hired, but it was kind of like, it was never my place. So the guys just never kind of like not when I say respected me, I'm not talking about like they were disrespectful to me. Yeah. They just never, in a lesser term of respect, they just never really respected me as kind of like I'm not the boss. There is the owner of the shop, right? Kind of like the boss manager type
tell them
thing,
what to do,
kind of thing, right? They just never kind of like had that thing for me, right? One of the guys who I even employed, he went to school with me. One of the guys who I was co-manager, he's kind of like, he hired me. Yeah. So it meant that when I had all these views, it just wasn't happening. Yeah. So when I came to a point when I realized, actually, do you know what? I really believe if we do this, we do that, this will be a massive success. And it really came to a thing which was really bubbling, like, actually, I believe this will work, right? It's going to work, right? But I can't do it here because I'm in someone else's house, And that's why I always make this clear when I say this as well. I'm in somebody else's house. So you respect the rules in the house that you're in. You do not complain and say, why can I not wear my shoes in your house? Because it's not your house. If you want to wear shoes in your house, you go and get your own house and then you wear shoes in your house. There's no issue with the business or the owners or the other managers or anything like that because it's their business, So that's why it was never like a fight with them. So it came to a point I realized, actually, in order to make these things happen, I have to have my own place.
But they must have told you, big man, come stay because you're doing well for them. But they must have gave you the talk like, you can't leave like that.
No, we had talked that, but also when I told them I was leaving, because when I decided to leave, I told them that same week. I didn't leave till 3 years after. we had a lot of conversations. You know? We had a lot of conversations, right? You know, but I told them straight away. So, you know, in any breakup, in any form of breakup, relationships and that, you always find there's these 5 stages, right? Where you go through kind of like, no, you can't do that. No. Then it's kind of like maybe a bit annoying. It's like, wait, you're doing that? Wait, no. Then it's kind of like, all right, you know, we'll do this for you. How about we do this? How we do that? Then, you know, then eventually it's acceptance. And that just happens in just in any form of breakup, right? But what was good is, I told them straight away, so there's nothing sneaky I was doing.
Yeah.
So when I was building my own shop, they all knew, I've got the shop now. I'm going over there. I didn't have to sneak around because I told everyone. And people said to me, don't tell them until you find your own place. Don't tell them because, and I understood this, you run the risk, and this is what I tell people, right? You do run the risk that if you tell someone you're leaving their business or they might just let you go on the spot.
Facts.
You do run that risk, right? So you've got to say in your head, right, I'm telling you this, right? So if they let me go right now, what am I going to do? And in my head, I was like, cool, I'm just going to cut in I was in my 1-bedroom flat. We had like a common garden. In my head, I'm like, okay, for the moment, I guess I'll just cut from my garden or sit along, not a communal garden. If it's raining, I don't know, I'll probably just have to find one little garage or something like that, right? You know, but I was prepared in my head that, you know, they might let me go, right? They never, you know, which is testament to them. They never, right? But in my head, I'm like, they might do. Because, you know, eventually they might say, well, okay, cool, bounce then. You know, because I know someone told me, he told me he left his job, right? He works for someone. He said, look, I'm looking to move companies. They said to him, stop everything you're doing.
Do you know how funny
They signed him out.
Do you know how funny that is?
They
How
signed
funny that is?
They
Stop
signed him out.
everything you're doing. Freeze. Iman, they said freeze.
They signed him out.
Pack your bags.
They gave him his month, this and that. They let him go. Because they were seeing it as that's a competitor, so you're going to take all of our information.
Yeah, facts.
So even if you start voicing, and people have to know these things, even if you start voicing the idea of like, I'm thinking, but if you're working for a company that have data, stop. Hold on. You're thinking.
Stop everything you're doing
right
You're
now.
not thinking about data.
Man, even talk about why you want to go. Just stop.
Stop right
Yeah,
there.
you understand? In companies which are data driven, they're like, you can't voice those feelings, and you hold data to the company. Your contract ends there.
That
If
is
they have
so
to pay for the
funny.
next 3 months, they'll pay for the next 3 months. But you're not taking anything over, right? So when I left, I was aware that some of these things could happen, right? And I was prepared, but I knew I was in a place that I was ready to go. And while I say I was ready to go as well, I'll leave you guys with this as well, because online we always hear about passion and all these things there, and kind of like, you know, I'm passionate. Being passionate about something that doesn't mean you're good at something.
Yeah.
You know, you might be passionate, but you might be rubbish at football.
Yeah, facts.
You know,
Facts.
passion does not equate to talent.
Yeah,
You know, some of the pundits are more passionate than the players, but the players are more talented, right? So when people just say, you know, I believe and I really love this thing, right? That doesn't mean you're going to be good at it, right? So when you're talking about leaving to go do something, right? When I left to go open up my shop, understand this, I was managing that shop for about 11 years.
Yeah.
You know, I started out all the admin, the taxes, everything, right? So I was running a shop for about 11 years, right? Even though I wasn't getting paid for it, I was running it. That was the learning for me to go open up my own shop. I was in a place where I was turning away more customers than I was cutting. I remember doing a one year, 2015, 2016. I remember December. I thought, let me just count how many customers I turned away. I turned away about 70 clients, new clients. And I didn't include the clients which are existing clients who I couldn't cut. But I remember, like, right, I turned away about 70 new clients this month, right? Right, that's a lot of clients, right? I had filled up another barber's chair and another barber's, some of his chair as well, and another barber's. So I remember filling up quite a few barber's chairs, right? Or like not fully, like 100%, but, and I was still fully booked, right? So I was like, oh, right. So if I tell someone to go cut with someone else, they trust my word. That made me think, if I open up my own shop, if I vouch for someone, they will go to that person, right? I trained up 2 barbers. So I was like, okay, I have the capacity. I know how to train up barbers. So when I was opening up my own shop, it wasn't based on, I just believe it can work.
Yeah,
no, forget the belief.
Tested,
It's tried and tested. I'm running a place. So I understand what goes into running a shop. I've trained up barbers. So I know even if I can't find any barbers, I can train up barbers. We talked about it earlier.
Yeah.
I'll train up barbers. I knew that I was turning away more people than I was cutting. Yeah. So I knew that, okay, cool. Now I can send them to this barber as long as I get a barber in and send them to that barber, right? And so on. So I had all this kind of like, you could say data that I was looking at, whereas like, well, I'm ready to go and actually open up my own shop because of all these things there. Yeah. Many barbers and many people are leaving people prematurely, leaving businesses prematurely just because they have an idea or a passion. They're like, you know what? I woke up and I got this idea, like, I feel like I probably can make the best cakes. And it's like, have you ever made a cake before? No. but I just really believe I eat a lot of cake. Okay, but have you ever made a cake before? You've baked a cake before? No, but you know what? I go to these different places and I say, this is nice and that's not nice. And I know I can, okay, so what you're telling me is you're a critic. That doesn't mean you can make and bake cakes, right? They got no data to back up what they're doing, right? Except for a passion and a vision, right? So that's why I say how I left my place, because all of that kind of stuff there was the backstory to me leaving my place and me knowing that it would work out.
Absolutely. And what you say on the cake example as well, and what you're basically saying is that when you ask the person, like, why don't you bake a cake? They'll say, no, I need to quit my 9 to 5 so I can bake the cakes. What they really should be doing is working overtime and making them in the night. And that's like a through line to a lot of our guests. Like, a lot of our guests have worked somewhere, mastered their craft elsewhere, and then they build their own thing.
Yeah.
But bro, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
So many gems. Thank you. Where can people follow you? Where can people get the book? Tell them.
Listen, SliderCuts everywhere. SliderCuts on every social media platform. I've got all my handles. You can go to my website, SliderCuts.com. Has all my handles there. You want to buy the book, you can buy it from the website. But you know what? I'd even say buy it from actually Amazon. There's a lot of people who support me and buy it directly from me. But you know what? I actually prefer you to buy it from Amazon because it helps with my ranking and the ratings, more than for me. But I know people say, because I make more money from it, they want to buy it from me. But I prefer you to buy it from Amazon. And leave a review.
Leave a review, make sure. Guys, thank you for listening to the Bread About podcast. Please like, share, and subscribe.
Hey, let us know how you felt, any questions. Let us know who else you want us to get on the pod. But we look forward to seeing you on the next one.
Peace.